Sometimes they escape and Faceless has to round them up again. So we got Scapper, we got 406, we got Faceless, and Evil Snowball has also done a shout out. I am really glad that there's a list of all of the shout outs and things redeemed, so I can go and check on this, because they don't appear in like sub notifications or anything like that. They're completely separate, and Streamlabs doesn't seem to know how to deal with this. So Evil Snowball, what to see about? Well, Evil Snowball, clearly that name, it's unique. It stands out. It is something different. It is something worthy. It is something notable. So, Evil Snowball. I mean, snowballs, in my opinion, are never evil. So it really brings into question why you would have chosen a name like Evil Snowball. The only time I can really think that you would say that snowball was evil is if you get the snow down your back, in which case it is freaking evil. So I would say the Evil Snowball is the type of snowball which wouldn't just hit you in the face, which is just laugh it off and be like, yeah, good shot. Or the type of snowball which you're throwing at other people, in which case it is nothing but fun. It is the snowball that buries itself under your scarf and just gets into your back and is just like, oh. So let's present Snowball with that hail, which is just like bad rain. So not only do we have bad snow, but we also have bad rain. So all hail Evil Snowball for that combination. Huzzah and all hail Evil Snowball. Yeah, I think that'll do. Quite happy with that one, actually. Snowball is a spy. Oh, I need to pour myself some tea. Talking is hard. At least now we've been going for almost 3 hours. We have got into 37. This stream is going so slowly. Not the stream. The stream has been awesome. But this series, like, YouTube is going to be crying havoc because of this. They already hate it when I don't pass much time, and that's been a real problem here. First came here from, I think, an Elec TV stream. Oh, interesting. I remember that stream host. Like, the really, really big hosts, like the ones you get from Shenra, are always memorable. And Alex, I remember, was huge. Because Alex wasn't a streamer I'd heard of, but I do now follow, and I haven't raided him for a while. I think it's because he streams before I do, so I never have the opportunity to, otherwise I would. I have a question, please help. Are you able to clear your cache? Do you mean in-game? I mean, what am I saying? Clear your Hearts of Iron cache, I think you're saying. In which case, yes you can, it's launcher. So when the launcher is up, if you go to game settings, it will zoom you down to the correct area, and then there's a box there. YouTube people can just skip through the video though. Yeah, but when it's half an hour of this... When I was a kid, I put a snowball in my coat pocket to take home. It disappeared. Some say it melted. I think it abandoned me. That was an evil snowball. Alex streams at Alec times. Sometimes the schedule is made up on the day. Yeah, I noticed that. He's very often around when it's like 6 o'clock in the morning or something crazy. Maybe you shouldn't put this run on YouTube. Well, it depends on whether it's a fun one or not. If it is, then I will. I'll just have to deal with the comments. Alright, so we got the Matilda. Excellent. And yes, don't worry, Marshall. I know you've shouted out. I'm just going to wait a little bit because we've had just a glut of shout-outs. But it is noted. 37 we want to get these technologies done. And we are also building some out-of-date stuff, which is going to be the tanks. Let's upgrade to the Matilda. Cool. Don't do it for me, read the message. Oh, okay, that I missed. Where is it? Haha, okay. Now, this is how you do it. Not going to shout out for myself, but this wonderful community and the man in charge of it all, His Imperial Majesty, the High Lord King Emperor. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Marshall. I am not going to do that. I am going to shout you out because And again, sorry to the other moderators, this might make you slightly jealous, but Marshall is integral to the running of this community. Of all of the moderators that we have here, I've got to say that Marshall, you're the most welcoming, the most nice, the most encouraging of all the moderators. You are the type of moderator that absolutely makes being a streamer worth doing. You are the person, you are the glue that keeps the community together. And that is absolutely true. Like other moderators, every moderator brings something to the team. Otherwise I wouldn't have them doing what they do. But Marshall, you are the one who keeps the moderation team going. You are the one who is there when somebody else needs something. You are the one who is always there with a friendly hello, welcome, and answering questions, stuff like that. So seriously, chat, Mordlings, if there is anybody that you need to hail properly, it is Marshall, because he does do a ridiculous amount behind the scenes, and I'm sure all of the other moderators will say, yeah, he kind of does. So, all hail Marshall. And never was it more deserved. All hail Marshall! Huzzah! Mordred making the moderators jealous one at a time. Yeah, I do seem to be doing that, but I absolutely mean that they each bring something to the team which is special. And that's Marshall's speciality. He is the glue. Marshall is lovely and does more work than me. He's the reason. There's a good reason why the community brought him in a new computer. Yeah, that is true. All hail Marshall, the rightful ruler of the Balkan Empire. Yeah, we need to play a game with you as Austria. It's Austria that you want to play as, right? Good, wholesome, glorious, never did anything wrong, Austria. They definitely never smashed Brandenburg that one time. Serbia crowns King Alexander II. Since the end of the Austrian occupation during the 1920s, Serbia has officially been a kingdom. They never dared to crown a king as they were forced to keep a low profile in the light of further Austrian aggression. Petar Bojovic, the regent of Serbia for almost 2 decades, and a no royalist, has decided that now is the time to restore the monarchy. You ain't a squirrel lover, I know that. There are no squirrels, though, after you're done with them, Scapper. The Cairo Congress, leaders of many countries within the Middle East, from Iran to Arabia to Cyrenaica, have gathered in Cairo to discuss the Ottoman issue. Many predict that Egypt will dominate the Congress as she lays out a plan for the Middle East without the Ottoman Empire. However, time will tell if this is just sowing the seeds for a conflict or peace. Huzzah for the Marshal of the Mordlings' most monumental moderator. Moderator, I like that. Hey, check on Discord, it's what they're called. I stumbled across that one right when I started the channel. I needed my first moderators. A tense standoff has erupted in the United States as the democratically elected President Reed fled to the city of Chicago after being forcibly removed from his position by General Dougie MacArthur. From Chicago, Reed's supporters have declared MacArthur's government illegitimate, as have the southern supporters of Huey Long, based in New Orleans, and the Pacific governors under the leadership of Governor Frank Merriam. All have been given a deadline by General MacArthur of 30 days to either stand down or face arrest and execution. Alright, so as much as I want to get through the Quebec in flames, I also want to take a look at the America War. So the intervention debate. We need to be at peace with them all. Prospect of intervention. We can also do the New England question. Aha. New home of the free. American recruitment. Added manpower depend on how many refugee camps exist and how well the refugees have been treated. Oh, interesting. And then a union of interest, which I'm guessing is, bringing them into Canada. Intervention debate. I is to the south. Reinforce Ottawa, reinforce Montreal, reinforce Vancouver, reinforce Halifax. Mobilization speed plus 20, recruitable population 1, max volunteers. Crossing the border, war support, stop the southern syndicalists. Quid pro quo. American Civil War is over. Canada intervened in the American Civil War. Currently has no effect. I'm guessing that brings them into the faction though, whoever won. And one more huzzah for the Marshal of the Maudlings. Didn't know that we had moderators. Guess that means they're doing their jobs. Swift Train? Harsh. But yes, it does mean they're doing their jobs. They do it really well. They really, really do. Like, this community is fantastic. 90% because of how good the moderators are at their jobs. One more for Marshall. I'm still amazed he hasn't deleted my every comment. Huzzah! Clicks ban on Sindrin immediately after. I love and hate how you say Chicago. I mean, I always kind of stumble because I know it's supposed to be Chicago, but I heard it called Chicago once, and ever since then it's Chicago. So do we intervene? I don't know. Somewhat will depend on how it's going. No quid pro quo? That's not good business. Oh yeah, I did mean to see something else further up. Came to Mordred's stream because I was reading up on the Civil War and he was playing Ultimate General Civil War. I love this place. Yeah, I learned so much during that that stream, or that series, playing as both the Union and the Confederates. Like, I knew nothing about it, and now I'm actually quite interested in Civil War history. Like, I'll never be as dedicated as, say, reenactors are, but it's definitely opened up an interest that I never had before. Like, before it was just like, oh, the Americans are killing each other again. Okay. But now it's just like, okay, the history is interesting. The military side is very interesting. The evolution of tactics and equipment, in particular, was something I never really appreciated. The situation in America, the government is becoming alarmed at the rapidly developing crisis in the United States, particularly with the rise of the Socialist Party in America. A syndicalist-aligned nation in our southern border would be unthinkable. The violence is already terrible, to the point that numerous state governments in the American Northeast, lacking confidence in the federal government's ability to maintain order, have asked us to step in should a civil war break out. We do not have to answer their request yet, but once the deadline ends, we may very well be forced to. Oh, and we could start doing economic stuff as well. Canada to America, of course, quid pro quo. You're expected to take certain duties on board. I know this sounds sordid, but you'll be rewarded. Be prepared. Astrosol, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Oh, in fact, I missed a few of you. I'm sorry about that. Cadiorade, thank you very much for the follow. And Herman Stahl, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. All hands on deck. Gains us recruitable population. Want her at war. Okay. Ah, and we can direct the exiles again. So now their influence is very high. So we could add war support to everyone in the Entente, because we have really high influence. We can also support the Prime Minister, which will get us some more popularity, which would get us some more political power, which will allow me to do more stuff. I think it's still too early to get war support. So we're going to support the Prime Minister with the King. And then the exiles... support the Canadian government, which gives me political power. Does it do anything else than that? I'm going to say let's do the industry. Get some more of that going. Can't do any more of those. We can, however, start building crown corporations. And I think I would like to get a crown corporation in Toronto. And then once we have 5 more, we can get the one in Montreal as well. That should be a nice boon. Get our industry really humming together. Quebec took some damage. Still no resistance, though. Guangdong Clique took 5 states. Guangxi Clique have been annexed. The Guangxi government has gone into exile. The main forces have capitulated. Japan announces her ambitions Though the situation in Japan has been critical ever since the peace with honour, with numerous economic crises, unrest and ineffective response to the German interventions in China leading to the collapse of the autocratic Tanaka regime, the Empire of the Rising Sun managed to bounce back, albeit only as a regional power with the influence limited to East Asia. A shout out to the entire modelling community, incredibly friendly and a wholesome lot of gamers. Thank you, Zay. And yes, I absolutely agree. They are incredibly friendly and a very wholesome group of gamers. Like, sometimes gamers can just be so ridiculously toxic for like no reason. I never got that point of view. Like, why? Why do you need to be like that? Give the rest of us a really bad name. Undeservedly so. Alright, field hospitals done. We already have MPs researched. We could get logistics. Or we could just go for the improved machine tools, which actually sounds like a really good idea too. Okay. Civil War still hasn't kicked off. Otherwise I would start thinking about trying to give equipment to one of the sides. Letting the borders shuffle. Okay, now we can get the Crown Corporation in Montreal, which I would like to do. And the West Indies are moving troops to my border. Okay. The suppression of the French Canadians. At the order of the federal government, both the RCMP and the Canadian Armed Forces have moved into Quebec in large numbers. Streets are being patrolled, large gatherings dispersed, and force used when absolutely necessary in order to maintain order. The pictures of violence plastered on the front pages of newspapers aren't sitting well with many Canadians, but most admit there appears to be little alternative at the moment. We cannot negotiate with violence, the Prime Minister said to the House of Commons, and that appears to be the end of it. So social conservative popularity goes down. French tensions have also gone down. And we can suppress them. What's that do? Scroll, 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 scroll. Scroll, 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 scroll. And of course it costs 25. For 60 days, cost political power, costs population. Montreal negative state modifiers will be reduced. Oh, I see, they're local. Aha. Quebecois resistance. Local resources minus 60, local manpower minus 60, chance of sabotage construction plus 30. Interesting. Okay, that's a cool system. Very similar to the Civil War stuff. So yeah, it's just these three. Okay. And then that's the Crown Corporation that we're building. Gotcha! Suggestions from Malta Guinness and the Commission. Malta Guinness and the rest of the Commission have come up with a suggestion to help the situation within the West Indies. And it is a 2-year fund into the West Indies to help them along in their new multitude of projects to help the region. While this will take a toll on our income, it should serve significantly towards helping them calm the rampant socialist movements within the West Indies, helping them develop their industries along the way. I will increase funding. Because I've been investing pretty heavily in the minions so far. We also need a new national focus. Still need to do this. Empower the Anglophones, and then finally Surete du Quebec. Let's empower the Anglophones. Left unspoken is the significant presence of English Canadians within the province of Quebec. Montreal is almost half English, and all of these people feel helplessly drawn into a conflict originating with the French. We must ensure they are not reduced to second-class citizens within their own country. Does it cost 50? Weekly stability, how many weeks in 60 days? It's going to be like 9. Eight, 8.5. So we get 8.5 stability spending... Wait, no, we just gain stability for this. We don't lose any. That is a good thing. Plus it reduces the penalties in those areas. And we really need stability. America in chaos. Chaos has overtaken our neighbours to the south, and even worse, the Socialist Party of America has proclaimed a stronghold right off of our southern border. A number of northeastern governors in New England, their states beset by syndicalist militia violence, have formally asked the Canadian government to intervene. Clearly, they feel the federal government is incapable of the task, though some of our ministers feel this might be seen as some of the factions, less as an intervention and more of aggression. They say the matter should be debated in Parliament before any action is taken. For New England at least, that might not be quick enough to save them. Move into New England. That'll piss off the Americans. We're going to move in as requested. And there it is. American Civil War is kicked off. To those not in the know, it might seem like the crisis in the United States came out of nowhere, but experts agree that this was a civil war years in the making. Since the collapse of the New York Stock Exchange in 1925, the economy of the United States has been sluggish and mired in deep recession. The destiny of America is at stake. Alright, so New England is getting RCMP. Their resistance level is really high. Is that right? Oh, I guess it's because these guys haven't arrived yet. Yeah, so we basically need to spend some manpower and resources to sort that. Fair enough. Meanwhile, we can make some more guns. I still don't have armoured cars. I really need to get armoured cars soon. I like how you read out the focuses and take your time. I've seen people just stick it on 5 and click rapidly. It's the Weltkrieg in 2 minutes. I mean, for the games where I've seen everything, I will go through a lot quicker. And this has been glacial, even compared to how I usually play. But, yeah. I like reading the focuses. Like, the real thing about Kaiserreich is the immersion. It's the... Oh, what's the word? It's just the general feel. It's the lore, it's the information that goes into it, it's everything around it that makes the fidelity. Yeah. We got New York? No we didn't. Not the city anyway. It's still them. Depth of the story. There you go. Horrified by the civil war in the United States, the small nation looks in fear to the eastern and northern borders, waiting for an attack now that its protector is at war and has requested we openly express our desire to keep Costa Rica a sovereign state. While our interests in the neighbouring Panama are far greater, we could potentially support their regime and establish another Entente foothold in the Caribbean. Yes, I will offer you assistance. And we have apparently got the German soundtrack. Let's turn that off. We should definitely be the Allies. Oh, you know what? It is now time. The British Empire is making a return. And in such a glorious moment, there is only truly one song that can do this justice. And that reaction from chat is what I was looking to see. The US government has decided to give us an island in Puerto Rico. There is talk among our military that the island provides a perfect position for our fleet to operate in the southern Atlantic. Still, others believe it should belong to our friend in the West Indies. Huzzah! We're going to give it to the West Indies because I do want to empower the West Indies. Mastani, showing the generosity there, giving a sub to Isdar. Isdar! Congratulations on the gifted sub courtesy of Mastani. Thank you very much for that. Very much appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's been the coolest thing in the transition from EU4 to Heart of Iron. EU4 is all combat and map expansion. Heart of Iron, I like the story. I don't need all the pesky wars interrupting my focus trees. Panama seizes the canal. Upon the start of the American Civil War, Panama took the 13-mile-long Panama Canal Zone from the US officially to safeguard it from radicalism. This could be advantageous for us. We could demand Panama either joins the Entente or hands over the canal. They would not be in a good position to refuse, especially as we have a base in Costa Rica. Demand they join the Entente, redirect some trade to the Entente, leave them alone. I'm going to demand they join us. Alaska requests a intervention. Okay, so Panama joined. The American territory of Alaska has experienced a severe shortage of the needed supplies following the outbreak of the Civil War. After a recent bombing in the city of Juneau, the Alaska governor is fearing a breakdown of order, one that the far-off federal government will be too busy to respond to. Thus, he, like the New England governors, has requested the Canadian government intervene for the interim and keep the peace. Absolutely. We're moving on in. Oh yeah. Okay, so you have gone right down, so I can probably fairly safely switch you to police. And Alaska is kind of pissed off right now, but that's probably because the army is still moving in. Panama agrees to the terms. Panama has agreed to our generous terms. We now have the Panama Canal under our influence. Marvellous! Scotland was the OG coloniser in the area before Spain, so I think the UK has claimed the canal based on that. That's true, it's the Darien colony. You're not wrong. And that is now a glorious looking Canada, and I've not even had to fire a shot. Ah yes, and we can invite Panama to the IED, which we are going to do. And we do also need to start suppressing these guys. So we're going to suppress the Quebecois. Oh, is there anything that we need to do about New England? I should have checked that first. No. I thought there might have been. So we can stop the Southern Syndicalists. So yeah, this is a intervention right there. Panama agrees to join. Trade relations have been increased. Excellent. Right, so we need to decide here. What team do we want to support? Because I can do Lend-Leases, and I should. And also volunteers, and I should. So I kind of agree with Alaska and New England that the federal government is in no position to resist. Especially now that they've been cut off right here. You can directly intervene too. You hate the CSA, so you only really have the PSA or the AUS. So yeah, we have the PSA, which are basically open for business. They are market liberals, and they just want to do trade. They can join the Entente. We can support the United States of America, who are the legitimate government, although they've basically been couped by Dougie MacArthur. So if we want to support the legit government, then we can go after them and give them support. They can also join the Entente, although I think it's less likely than the PSA. The other thing about the PSA is they can join Japan, which would be bad for us. So that is a bit of a danger. I think the United States will always join the Entente. Or go completely independent. We could also support the American Union State, which is a bit more of an outlier. They cannot, as far as I'm aware, join the Entente. They are more likely to join Germany, which would also be a good thing for us, because the more powers that we bring in on the Reichspakt side, the more people fighting the Internationale, which will make our liberation of Britain easier. So it's really one of these three. We can't and shouldn't support the syndicates. Or we could stay completely neutral, which is the fourth way. So let's take a look. We're going to say American